Hello, good morning, and to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. I don't think it's going to be too challenging, but we'll see. It's Black Velvet, introduced in 1951. It's currently owned by Heaven Hill. All right, so it's a Heaven Hill brand these days. It's a Black Velvet distillery in Canada. It's called the Black Velvet Distillery. I have a photo of the front gate, and I'll post that on Alcohol Egg soon. No, I have not been to Black Velvet Distillery. It's just somebody took a photo, put it on an internet like blog, web blog, talking about I went on a trip here and showing it. They don't let you do tours, so it'd be nice, wouldn't it? Sure would. Now we have the Northern Lights, originally known as the Northern Light, singular, not plural. There's the leaf trying to look like the Northern Lights, kind of wave, like when you turn the when you turn the light, when you let the light hit a certain way, it's trying to look like the Northern Lights, like it. See what I mean? The Northern Lights. All right. Anyway, this is a Sazerac brand today. It was started by Glenmore, 1968. Then it became Hiram Walker. Then it was Barton, and now it's Sazerac. And I might have missed some ownership. That's how many times it's been passed around. It says on the bottle, bottled by Barton Imports, Louisville, Kentucky. Well, you know who owns Barton? Sazerac owns Barton. They own that facility. So ultimately, it's Sazerac, the Sazerac company. Now, I'm not even going to read that label because that has changed. The new labels will be updated. It's not going to. They might even have a new bottle design coming out. I don't know. This one's tapered, you see. All right. $9.99. I bought that $9.99. This was $9.99. So the price is even. Now, the second bottle I bought of the Northern Lights was $4.75. They had a closeout. They were getting rid of the glass bottles and going just to the big plastic ones. And I said, woof. I got to buy it. So I did. You know, for $4.75, you don't pass it up. You know what I mean? I mean, unless it's just wretched. I mean, if I'd have seen Ron Rio for $4.75, I wouldn't have purchased. But a credible product. Well, I never tried the Northern Lights, but I figure it's coming from Sazerac. It's not going to be bad. It might be kind of ho-hum, but it won't be literally bad. Even Hartley Brandy isn't bad. It's just sort of low grade, you know. All right, but anyway, so I'm trying to get the thing even. Pour more of this, pour more of that. Pretty soon, you know, I got 2 full glasses and I don't need that. Boy, that's a boozy, harsh taste. Grain alcohol. I mean, that's when I think of Black Velvet, I say, ugh. I'm sorry. Some people love Black Velvet. It's one of the top selling whiskeys in the United States. That's a fact. Look that up. Well, I could provide a link if you needed me to. But I don't know why people buy it. It's just harsh. It's abrasive. To me, it's unpleasant. And it's all like grain alcohol. And they go so detailed about it on their website. They're so proud of it. But I could be missing something, like this. Something's not registering with me. I'm not understanding it. They're showing a rocks glass, but on the photo, they're drinking it neat. You can look at the blackvelvet.com, blackvelvetwhiskey.com website. I would show it to you, but they don't have screen share on Google Hangouts anymore that I know of, YouTube Hangouts. 3-year aged whiskey, remarkably smooth with hints of caramel, vanilla, coconut, and rye spiciness. Yeah? Caramel. No, maybe. Vanilla? No. Coconut? What? Rye spiciness. Yeah. How is it remarkably smooth? To me, it's like noticeably abrasive. So I don't know. Same bottle design. Drink recipes. Black Velvet and Cola. Cool Velvet, Black Velvet Sour, Velvet Monkey. There's also a Black Velvet Toasted Caramel. It's a caramel liqueur. And then there's the Reserve, which is kind of marginally better. They're saying expertly crafted for over 65 years. Once again, I'm missing something. Like, I'm not seeing this. I'm not saying they're not expertly crafted. I'm just saying it doesn't taste good. So it's a real nice website showing the guy with the barley malt. First came out in the barrel 1951. The brand was initially known as Black Label. Hey, Mabel, Black Label. But after Jack Napier, the original distiller, sampled the first batch, he changed the name to Black Velvet to reflect its uncommon velvety taste and smoothness. And also, they were probably worried about a lawsuit from Carling. I don't know. Or maybe just ridicule. People saying, why you don't come up with it? Why you got to call it Black Label? Everybody knows there's Carling Black Label beer. Using crystal clear Canadian water. Okay. Finest rye, grains, and corn. The whiskey's painstakingly distilled, blended at birth, and put in premium oak barrels to gently mature. Then they started the Reserve in 91. Why is our whiskey so delicious? My contention would be, why do people say it's delicious? Just like the finest Canadian whiskeys, Black Velvet is crafted from a mix of high-quality grains, including rye, barley, and corn. That's your typical Canadian grains. A lot of corn, maize, some barley whiskey, and some rye whiskey, okay? But what they do with Black Velvet is they cut it with watered down, all the different whiskeys, cut it down to 80 proof, and they blend them together. Then they barrel age it. So that's what they're saying. Ours are better because we blend it, then barrel age it. And they're able to marry together for 3 years. Like gumbo, if you ever cook gumbo and you leave it in the refrigerator for 3 days, it tastes better when you reheat it on the stove than when you first cooked it, because all the spices, it's kind of like Church's chicken. When I get the spicy, if I have it the day it's fresh out the fryer, it's good. But if I get some and leave it in the fridge for 3 days or 2 days, and then I reheat it in the toaster oven, you can't do the microwave. That's no way. Toaster oven to be crisp, and it's more flavorful because the juices, the spices from the skin seep down and marinate the chicken in the refrigerator. That's what I've noticed. These barrel-aged high wines are mixed with fresh base whiskey spirit. Okay, get it? Grain neutral spirits, whiskey spirit, grain whiskey. I don't care what you want to call it. They mix the high wines, rye and barley. They bring it down to 80 proof. They age it for 3 years. In bourbon barrels. Whose bourbon barrels? Well, I'm sure it was, I don't know, High West. Now it's probably Heaven Hill, or eventually it'll be Heaven Hill because they've taken over. What is whiskey? Well, we don't need to read all that. Whiskey versus we. E versus no E. If you look at the United States government, they use no E. You say in America it's spelled with an E. Well, generally, not always. It's the same thing. Whiskey with an E, without an E. There's no difference in the product. It's just a way of spelling it, okay? The United States government uses no E. They just say whiskey, W-H-I-S-K-Y, just like in Scotland. Early times. You ever got early times whiskey or early times bottled and bond whiskey? No E. Get it? Got it? Okay. Yorn says, have a happy new year, Ron. And I really meant that. You have a happy new year too, and I really mean that. Okay, Yorn. All right, so let's mix them up. Now I'll go walking. It was raining all night. It's finally stopped as of the last hour. I know the street's going to be wet. Okay. But it's supposed to get up to like 79 degrees today. Can you believe it? Then we'll have a cold front. But the cold front, they say it'll get down to like 35 one night, 35. It was supposed to do that earlier this week, but it didn't really happen. It got down to like 43 or 42. Maybe was the coldest. The coldest we've had so far this winter is 28. degrees. That was for about 4 hours in November. So we got about 30 days left in January, about 30 days left in which we could have those deep freezes with the below 20 degrees where people have to, including myself, have to worry about the pipes bursting, things like that. In February, you really don't see that. It starts to warm up. Last year started warming in late January. It was in the 90s by May, high 90s even. You're welcome. This is the 9th day of Easter, all right, for the 2019 Easter. What's wrong with me? Oh, I'm so out of it. I got my religious holidays mixed up. It's the ninth day of Christmas, all right? The 9th day of Christmas, sorry. There's 12 days of Christmas. This is day 9. On the 12th day, 12th night, that's it. It's over. That's Epiphany. That's when the 3 wise men, Balthazar, Caspar, Melchior, that's just legendary names given. We don't know their real names. Visited the baby Jesus. So that's when carnival starts. Carnival. Meat interval. Or the time of meat. And then we go to Lent, the time of fasting, no meat. Okay, but anyway, on with the tasting. So if I don't eat meat on Fridays during Lent, should I make up for it with whiskey? It's a filler. Well, that would not really be a sacrifice, would it? I'm turning 44 years old on the 10th of January, says Yorn. Well, congratulations to you. And you're halfway to 88. All right. Oh, appearance. It's pretty much the same. One might be slightly more golden, but they're amber gold. They're not too different. My nose is not that clear, but it never is. Why is that? I live in Louisiana with disastrously high humidity. Everything's covered with mold. You can't keep everybody I know has sinus problems. You know, they're always like, oh, my nose. I say, what's wrong? You have a cold? No. You got to go to Arizona with that clear, dry air. This smells like the black velvet because it's got that strong grain note. You say like cornbread. Yes, that's right. Is there a little caramel to it? I think there is. Vanilla, coconut, like they were talking about. I don't know what they're talking about. Maybe some. I don't know what else. What's your views on Greta Thunberg? Well, unfortunately, she's a tool being used by the international left. They like to hide behind children, you know. That's an old trick that they use. They bring out children and they use them as a spokesperson. And that way, if you criticize the message, they say, how dare you pick on this child? When you're not really picking on the child, you're picking on the message. So that's an old trick. And I don't like that. If you got some beliefs, you know, make your argument. Don't hide behind a child. But that's just the way they operate. This one doesn't smell that different, really. It smells caramel and heavy corn. Corn, even maybe candy corn. So I'm not sure on aroma which is which because they're very similar. But I know on taste I'll be able to tell them apart because I'm going to pick up on that harsh and to me off-putting black velvet bite. And the Northern Lights will not have that. It's smoother and it does have the flavorings. It says whiskey with flavorings. Almost all Canadian whiskeys have flavorings. I hate to tell you this. It's the truth. What kind of flavorings? Not like you're thinking. Natural flavors like rum, brandy, even bourbon, and various wines like sherry or port. It doesn't matter what kind of wine they use from what I was reading. I'm talking about on the Government of Canada website, not some third party, somebody with an opinion with no footnotes. The only stipulation with the wine is it had to be aged in small wood, in other words, wood barrels. Beyond that, it doesn't really matter. So can you have wildly and vastly different flavors with Canadian whiskey? Oh, yes. Which is, to me, a good thing about Canadian whiskey, because you can get all these mad flavors that you may have never expected. I 100% agree, Ron. Yeah, it's a shame that they would use a teenager like that. And then they're saying, well, she has a disability, cognitive disability, developmental disability. Well, that's even worse. So it shows how bad they are, the international left. And then when you criticize them, they get angry, and call you names and everything. But that's all they got. If that's all you have, then that's all you've got. I don't need to call people names and talk bad about them and everything. But they'll try to ban you. I want to ban you. I want to ban you. And then they'll call anything hate speech. Well, what is hate speech? Well, to them, anything that doesn't support socialism. That's true. That's the way they think. If you don't support socialism, you're a racist and you're full of hate. Because if you weren't that way, you would obviously support a socialist agenda. That's just their mindset. You say, but they say they believe in diversity. That's another lie. They do not believe in diversity at all. That's a tool that they use. They have no belief in that. In fact, they ridicule it internally. They believe in totalitarian thinking and a totalitarian approach to society. And they show that, they display that every day. And when they're in full control, you'll find that out. Like, France, 1793, got kind of rough with people. Spain, 1935, Kampuchea, 1975. Russia, 1917. It goes on and on. It's always the same. It's always the same pattern. Always the same. Okay. That one is bland, basic. But I'm not getting the harshness. So let's go over here. Well, there you go. That's the Northern Lights. It's smoother. It has an unusual flavoring taste, like perhaps they're using sherry. And I think they're using, I don't know if it's cream sherry, but it could be some sort of commodity blending sherry. Like these big liquor companies might buy huge quantities of it. And it might just be called North American Distiller Commodities Blending Sherry. You know what I'm saying? A company that doesn't sell products to the public retail, but they just sell these kind of things. And they buy it in bulk. And I think that's probably what it is. And it could be some rum there. And it could be the same type thing. Blending rum, stuff that you wouldn't buy at the store. Her father's worried about all the critics she gets. Well, that's what he claims. It's the same pattern, Jorn. I mean, I've been watching this my whole life. Once you get inoculated, first you have to be inoculated. That way you don't catch the virus. So then you can, and if a person is ill, then you have to combat the virus, right? Well, I'm not personally ill but the society is sick, so we combat the virus. See, and so they use those kind of tactics, strategies, tactics. You have to know the enemy, and you have to think the way the enemy thinks. A lot of people don't understand that. Okay, be in their mind. Now this has smoothed out. I have to admit, this has smoothed out since that first hit. Now, when I first took a sip, you noticed earlier, I was so shocked and put off. It was just like, whoa. And it's still, that's not a good sign to me if the first sip is so harsh and abrasive. You say, well, it mellows out if you keep sipping. You let it breathe or whatever. Okay, fine, but still. All right. As we've progressed down the sipping, what I'm getting now is candy corn, The sharp edges have mellowed off. There's a little rye spice. I'm not getting coconut like that. I don't know what they're talking about. Not really getting vanilla. Is there any wood or charred oak? I'm not getting anything like that. It's just basic and it's okay. You say, well, it's $9.99 a bottle. It's aged 3 years. What do you expect? It's going to be basic. Well, yeah, I expect that. I wasn't expecting anything exotic or not exotic, super high quality. I'm not expecting world class for $9.99. Why would you do? I saw a bottle of Grant's Family Scotch, that blended Scotch whiskey, been around a long time. It was $26.99 for the big 1,750 milliliter bottle. I think that's a good price. I checked multiple online liquor stores. Well, not online. They have their own website. You could go to the store itself. And the price was the same everywhere, $26.99 to about $30. I thought it was the same price. So I have a gift card for $15. I think I'll go to Mathern's and get it. So it'd be 20. It won't cost me but about 11. Then I can keep it in my back stock. I got to think about it though. But my intention was to buy Grant's all along, and then Ballantine, another famous Scotch. So I guess I need to just do it. Need to. You heard that? Need. Yeah, like I need to buy Scotch, right? This is smoother. It's got a much more sweet corn flavor, like sweet whole kernel corn grits. They're using yellow corn grits. So sweet corn. I'm saying rum. I think they must use some kind of really sweet white rum. Now, Sazerac does make the Caliber rum, Silver Caribbean rum, which is almost like eating a rock candy. It's that powerfully sweet. It's almost like it's oversweet, like they didn't process it quite correctly. But it could be something like that they're using to flavor this. Something really intense. But when you blend it in, when you're blending it in with the Canadian whiskey, then you see it's not so intense. Now, you're talking about blending in barrels and all of that. Jack Daniels, let's look at that for a minute. They take the whiskey and they mellow it. They call it mellowing. Anybody else would call it dripping it or filtering it, but they don't use those terms. They get very hostile. They drip it through the charcoal, 10-foot maple, sugar maple. That's what the tree is called, a sugar maple tree, charcoal. Then they put it in the barrel. So they filter it first. Oh, I'm sorry. Mellow it first. Then they barrel age it for a minimum of 4 years, but not a specific number of years. They mellow it to taste. And the man told me that was for tax reasons. He said, yeah, if you give an age statement, the tax goes up. He must know what he's talking about. He said he worked for Jack Daniels for 30 years. He said, so we just don't put an age statement to avoid paying that tax. I would do it too. I wouldn't put an age statement. If there was actually a tax to pay, why would I do that? No. But he was saying, but it's 4 years, We're not going to say it is, but, that's what it is. But see, they blend it after they take it out the barrel. So see, Jack Daniels is blended after the barrel. What I mean is they take different barrels and they blend them together to get your bottle of Jack Daniels. And if it doesn't come out right, if there's some barrels that got too much heat or not enough heat, they'll bottle those, blend those and bottle them and make the Jack Daniels number 7, the green label, which is difficult to buy. We don't get it in Louisiana. I'm a cook for 19 years now, and I'm very worried about the future for my profession. If Greta's thinking through other people working behind her, gets a good hold on the whole world with this. Well, have you seen the real Northern Lights up in Norway, Ron? No, I've only seen videos. Jorn. You don't have to be as worried as people want you to be, Jorn, because you see the left is very deceitful, and what they do is they'll pretend like they're winning, like we've got this, and they're very arrogant and boisterous and cocky. You call that cocky, like a rooster strutting around the farm, the barnyard. But a lot of times they're very worried that they're not convincing people like they want to, and the more worried they get, the cockier they'll get. And more boisterous and self-confident, or they'll pretend they're self-confident. But people are not buying it. as much as they claim. People are not buying it. And then they go around banning people from Google and Facebook and everything. They ban, because they want to control the argument. But it isn't working because people are seeing that it's banned. So then they start to question, well, if you're so correct, why do you have to ban people and shut people down? So it's that reveals the scam, you see, when you got to do that. If your argument was solid, without question, incontrovertible, you wouldn't have to ban people. And you wouldn't have to, and in some arguments, there's some arguments about history or whatever that they'll put you in prison. You'd be actually prosecuted for even just asking a question about the historical detail, which gets people very suspicious because, it'd be like the moon landing. Some people say it isn't true. The moon landing was fake, whatever. Most people just laugh that off and, you don't go to jail for it. They just say, oh, Lord. Okay. But if they started putting people in prison for asking questions about that event or blocking people or banning people, then there'd be a huge upsurge in doubters saying, wait a minute, something's not right. They put this man in prison. He asked some question about the moon landing. I don't understand. I think they're hiding something. So see, once you start putting people in prison for asking questions or disagreeing with the contention, then that just, it's like bread with yeast. It just blows up and expands. And then, it's a Pandora's box. And then more and more people start to say, hey, something's wrong, you see. CEO says, never tasted the Northern Lights. Is that a new one? No, it's been on the market since 1968. Norway, they're on the move. Yeah. But people are not buying it as much as they want you to think. I think the Northern Lights is the clear winner. Is it a world-class flavor? No. Do they barrel age it before blending? I don't know. There's nothing on the website for Sazerac. And even when they had the photos, all it was bottle shots of the different bottle configurations, which was nice. And they would say something like, for decades, the Northern Lights has been adding enjoyment to the evening or whatever, some basic like that. But for a basic product, it's nice. It's better than most of the $8 to $10 bottles I've had, honestly. So I would recommend it as long as you know what you're dealing with. Okay. That's bad news. The rain is back. I thought I was going to go walking. I thought the rain was gone. I got to look at the radar. What's going on? Would I recommend Black Velvet? I would recommend it in this sense. It's only $9.99 a bottle. It is a classic brand that's been around for going on almost 70 years. And you might like it because a lot of people obviously like it. It wouldn't be one of the top 10 whiskey brands in America if people hated it. I could be missing something, like there could be something I'm not understanding about it. We have to take that into account. I've had people tell me, well, since you reviewed this beer and you didn't like it, I'm not buying it. I say, why are you doing that? I'm just one person on the internet telling you what I think about the product. You might enjoy it. I took Camo beer and slung it against the fence. It was so bad, but it sells. People buy it. All right. It's 14%. No, 11, 12%. I think it's terrible, but I mean, people buy it. They drink it. I don't understand why they would buy it and drink it. I can't see how they could stomach it, but they do. They don't buy it here in Louisiana, but so I can't do anything but give you my own opinion about it. And then you can say, okay, well, this is what I think, and so on. There's a much more bite to this, though. The Black Velvet has more of a bite, and the Northern Lights does not. So anyway, the Northern Lights wins. It's an even contest because the bottle size the same, equal. The price equal. The appearance equal. The alcohol by volume equal 80 proof, 40% alcohol. So here is a pure taste challenge based only on the taste, no price considerations. And I think the Northern Lights is a clear winner. It is a known product. It is a known product. So I've had some people tell me, yeah, I know about that. Or I drank it or whatever. It's a pretty bottle. It's got this nice neck with all the diamonds on it. You might be able to see that. It's got little diamonds all the way around in the glass, cut into the glass. Well, it's not cut glass. You know, it's molded, but you know what I'm saying. It's not the standard Sazerac bottle. Another good thing, it's a brown bottle, which helps prevent light damage. Light can damage whiskey. We know that because some of the whiskey companies say, don't let it be in the light. Store it in a cool, dry place. Well, what was I telling you? This one is clear. Is that a good idea? I don't think it's a good idea. But I didn't have it sitting in the light, and I don't think it was setting out in the light in the store, but you never know. All right, so that's it. Northern Lights, clear winner. Now, what's coming up next? The next taste challenge, which could be today with Thunder and Thursday, tonight at 7 Eastern. I don't know if I'm going to do whiskey. I might do rum. But the next whiskey taste challenge, I do know that. It's going to be the Northern Lights versus Black Velvet Reserve, the 8-year age. Same recipe, but aged 8 years, which to me is not much of a benefit. You pay more money. I paid $2 more a bottle. No. $1 more because they had it on a deep discount special at Dormax. But I didn't find it was worth the extra money because I didn't see where was much to it. Yarn, she's the New World Order's third child climate doomsday PR attempt. They are lifting her, not the people. The boat, Malaysia, used to be named after Rothschilds. Yeah, I mean, it's all, but I mean, people know about all this stuff today. You know, so they're just saying, oh, it's just something unique. The world is doomed unless we have the hammer and sickle and socialism. But people are saying, get out of here. You know, be gone with all of that. We've been hearing this for since July 14th, 1789, not 1989, not 1999, not 2019, but 1789. We've been hearing all this garbage officially from a government. So, you know, we don't need to hear all of this. Like Archie Bunker said, you guys got more ways for the world to end than a dog has fleas. He was talking about the left. I thought that was a good statement. You guys got more ways for the world to end than a dog has fleas. Meaning that's all you do is you just try to perpetuate these crises. Everything's a crisis, you know, when really almost none of it is. And they just keep sort of like a hamster running in a cage. And people aren't buying it. Maybe some people are buying it because they're dull, dim-witted, or ignorant, or gullible, things such as that. But more and more people are waking up. And it's funny that the left uses the term woke. You should be a woke person. When the people that are actually woke are the ones that don't buy the propaganda. They're incorrect propaganda. Ironically, that boat's new name means evil in Italian, Malaysia. Well, they like to focus on evil. They're the left-hand course, the sinister side, right? Of in music world, sinister side. So my worries is when these climate people are mixing. Well, I wouldn't worry too much about that, but yeah, you're right. They are totalitarian. There's no doubt about that. They might have a smiley face like Bernard Sanders and say, well, he doesn't smile too much, but you know, they might be glib and say, oh, it's just the people getting together. But if they were in control, you wouldn't see such a friendly approach. You don't. Anyway, enough of all that. Boy, I tell you, that last draw of that Black Velvet, that was a strong, not a bad draw, though. That was a strong candy corn whiskey. Did have sort of a bourbon-like flavor, actually. You say, well, bourbon and Canadian whiskey are nothing alike. No, actually, they are alike because they're both mostly corn whiskey. They have a lot more in common than they don't have in common. They're mostly corn whiskey. Different process, but they have the same heritage, and that might hurt your feelings if you're a bourbon fanatic. Do I know bourbon fanatics? I certainly do. They won't try anything else. Scotch, Irish whiskey, Canadian, American. No way. I mean, it's just like, you know, in the beer world, IPA people, they won't try anything else. But luckily, most people are sort of open-minded with that. My worries, oh, okay, I read that. All right, so thanks for watching this. Get ready because we got more coming, a lot more content coming, more than I had believed, because it just keeps growing and more people saying, I want to review this, I want to review that. And I can't even do as much as people want. I would have 5, 6 videos a day. I have to kind of like say, no, wait, it's overload, you know. I mean, I don't get tired of it. It's just I worry that the people watching will get tired of it. CO says carbon dioxide is the reason this planet has life. It's positive and it's called photosynthesis. Right. You know, the left says it's poison. But that's the kind of stuff they just, it's funny in a way because they're so ridiculous with all that hysteria and their wrong-headed, block-headed thinking. And they get so angry, you know, when they are coming at you with all their, this is what we need to do, and oh yes, and then you just laugh and they get so angry. But that's a betrayal of they're not confident in what they're saying. They know it's trash, or they should know it's trash. Anyway, we're gonna win, so just may take a little effort, you know what I mean? With a little luck, we can work it out. We can make this whole damn thing work out. All right. So anyway, so thanks for watching this video production.